I want to talk about Chicago. We knew that Boston last week, through countless examples and multiple different raids, it seemed like Boston was ground zero for immigration and customs to be tapping in and taking over and making sure that they set the example that these blue cities is no longer going to be tolerated as far as the criminal activity and things that's going on. But now it seems it's extended over all across the United States of America, including Chicago. Check it out.
Agents have been showing up to multiple places around the city of Chicago. Fox 32's Nate Rogers joins us now with more details on the agency's operations. Nate?
Absolutely, Tia and Dane. Good evening to the both of you. The border czar was in Chicago today. Tom Homan visiting various neighborhoods, according to sources. Agents were spotted in Albany Park, Garfield Park, also right here in South Shore. As ICE has confirmed operations beginning today. We spoke to many residents who say they're now on edge.
They noticed us because we kept an eye on them.
Federal agents surrounding a home here at 99th and Commercial. It happened early this afternoon.
It was about, like 5 unmarked cars. And at first, I thought it was just the police. And then they all just came out. And then I seen his badge, and I was like, oh, wait, it's really ICE.
Why is they putting them in the car with handcuffs on?
This Citizen App video showing more agents in Garfield Park. On X today, ICE saying they're, quote, conducting enhanced targeted operations in Chicago, enforcing immigration law, preserving public safety and national security by keeping potentially dangerous criminal aliens out.
No one opened the door, luckily. Yeah, but...
You know why they're not opening the door? They're not opening the door because Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson and multiple different agencies and communities have been going out and spreading information on the importance of protecting and knowing your rights. Protecting and knowing your rights. They have spent a lot of time and a lot of energy. J.B. Pritzker in Illinois, governor of Illinois, Brandon Johnson, mayor of Chicago. You don't see them popping up in the neighborhoods when it came to regular community members, unless it was time to campaign and hopefully get that endorsement and get that check from the church, right? You didn't see him out in the streets when it was necessary for them to make sure that crime and corruption was stemmed. He was overseas saying that he was trying to solicit businesses to come and open up shop in Chicago. But you know what they did? They canvassed the neighborhood. They printed out flyers and pamphlets, and they went and they said, listen, guys, thank you for the super chat. I'm going to be reading that shortly. Don't open the door. Know your rights. We're going to protect you. This is how they're supposed to operate in the churches. This is how they're supposed to operate in the schools. Listen, we're going to empower and send out a memo to the police department and all of the administrators and the principals of what they can do to prevent agents and immigration and all of these people from being able to come in and get the criminals out of your neighborhoods. Let's continue.
They were out here, like 5 minutes, if that, and then other police officers pulled up, and then everyone just scattered.
Also on X, Mayor Johnson saying CPD was not involved and his team is working closely with officials. A top police source telling Fox 32.
Let's read that statement, guys. This is Brandon Johnson on X, reaching out to his constituents and the people of Chicago. And he says, we've received reports of ICE enforcement activity in Chicago today. Please know that Chicago police were not involved. They saying we not helping, we not participating, we standing down. Even if we arrest a criminal that just so happens to be an illegal migrant in Chicago, we are not holding them. We are going to do catch and release. We're not charging them. They will be residents and we have protection over them, even if it starts to affect other people inside of the community. It's important that everyone understands their rights, is what he said. Illegal migrants that are committing crimes inside of the United States of America, he says it's important that everybody understands their rights. You can access the Know Your Rights resource guide at chicago.gov. They stood that up fast, didn't they? This is y'all mayor.
And his team is working closely with officials. A top police source telling Fox 32, although CPD was informed of general locations for the operations, there is no collaboration. CPD is not given specific addresses, names, or violations.
I voted for President Trump. I like President Trump. I like his ideas. But I think on this issue, if anyone deserves papers, it's these people that have been here a long time and they're working and they are paying their taxes.
Back here in South Chicago, it's unknown who agents were looking for. Jesus Gonzalez has lived on the block 30 years. He says his neighbors are great.
They're targeting the wrong people. People are afraid to go out. People are afraid to go to work. That's not right. That's not what America's about. America's about living the dream.
And tonight, Fox News is reporting, according to Border Czar Tom Homan, multiple national security threats, quote, were taken off the streets right here in
Thank
Chicago,
you for the super
including
chat. I'm gonna be reading
aggravated
that super chat
sex
shortly.
offenders and convicted murderers. Also, Mayor Johnson wants to assure everyone knows and understands their rights. The Know Your Rights resource guide can be found online at chicago.gov.
Let's pivot for a second. Let's get it from another angle, because they say that these guys, listen, man, they are good people. They never did nothing to nobody, even though they got criminal records and they walked over here illegally. Let me ask y'all a question, because I know we got to have somebody. You don't have to answer in the chat, because I don't want you to think that they're going to be looking for you in the chat. Don't worry about it. You good here. Let me ask y'all in the chat, for those of you that may have come over here the right way, or if you know somebody that came over here the right way, how do y'all feel about all of the money and the thousands of dollars that y'all had to pay, and the tests y'all had to take, and the lines y'all had to wait in, and the renewals that y'all had to get on a regular basis, and the dedication to the American culture and American people in the United States of America before you wind up becoming a legal citizen? How does it feel to see people skip the line and commit crimes and to have other people standing up for them? It's got to anger you. It's got to anger you more than even us as Americans, because we were born here. And so because we were born here, we understand that we have rights, or we're supposed to be operating within, a certain silo of privilege. And that's just the way that it is. It's almost like my daughter, right? My daughter was born unto me. And so all she's ever known is this. So even though she can be appreciative of the fact that she is under me, that is just her cultural norm. But for those of you that came here and you waited and you worked and you dedicated yourself and you did the right thing, how does it feel to see somebody skip the line? Y'all don't even like to see people skip the line in the grocery store. I could be walking past, let's say it's a line to get in a venue, or it's a line to a food truck, or it's a line to get into a specific building for whatever reason. Sometimes I can be walking past to get through, and I could be sliding through. You may think that I'm skipping a line and trying to get in front of you, and y'all be ready to confront me then. People are ready to confront you when they think that you are trying to skip the line. And I'm like, oh, excuse me, I'm just trying to get through. Oh, okay, cool. And then they'll let you through. How does it feel to you guys, to the American citizens who actually waited their turn, did what they were supposed to do? How does it feel that resources have to go to support other people when you guys actually did it the right way and you waiting to get in here the right way? Just a question. Let's continue.
This is breaking news. ICE carrying out its first nationwide operation under the Trump administration, resulting in over 1,000 arrests.
Let me read this real quick. It says, but only waits 44 says, my child's mother and her family spent nearly $100,000 on getting green cards the right way. 7 of them in total. She was my wife at one point, and it took us 7 years. Some of her family waited 10 years. Now, I think that we need to figure out how to expedite the process. I'm assuming that the process is a little bit slowed down because there's so many people requesting to get in here. But considering that, ain't it disrespectful that y'all got people that just skip the line and say, hey, man, I deserve to be here because I pay taxes? We all pay taxes. Some of us way more than others. and you just got people skipping the line and they just able to just demand. They demanding their reparations in the form of a green card and or citizenship inside of the United States of America, and they want to vote? That's crazy.
Arrests happening in multiple states, from New York to California and Illinois to Colorado. The arrests come as the Trump administration is moving rapidly to fulfill its promise to launch an historic mass deportation operation. Chicago's governor says he, too, wants violent criminals out of the country, but he's raising concerns about how the administration is carrying things out.
And I've said many times, violent criminals who are undocumented in this country should be deported. There is a federal law that allows that deportation. But when we're talking about undocumented people who have been living law-abiding lives and raising families in the United States, we need comprehensive immigration reform. We need to give them an opportunity to stay in this country legally.
This all comes as President Trump's border czar Tom Homan is now on the ground in Chicago to oversee the arrests himself. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Anna Koyman in New York City. It's Sunday, the 26th of January, 3 o'clock on the East Coast. And it's time for News Nation Now. We do have so much to cover today, so we're going to get right to that breaking news on Trump's immigration enforcement plans. And News Nation's Mills Hayes is live there for us in Chicago. What can you tell us about the scale of these operations and the specific criteria being used to identify these individuals who are being arrested?
Hey, Anna. Well, Chicago has some of the strongest sanctuary city protections, which prevent city police officers from cooperating with immigration agents. And border czar Tom Homan is in the Windy City this weekend, working with other federal agencies to make good on his promise of mass deportations. But Homan wasn't alone today. Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove was also in Chicago on Sunday to see firsthand the operations. Federal agencies like the FBI, DEA, ATF, and the U.S. Marshals are all working with the Department of Homeland Security. The Deputy Attorney General said in a statement, "We will support federal, state, and local levels who join this critical mission to take back our communities. We will use all available tools to address obstruction and other unlawful impediments." The city of Chicago and its mayor, Brandon Johnson, have been adamant about the city's sanctuary city status. Democratic City Alderman Raymond Lopez slammed Johnson for his position earlier.
He's not concerned about the long-term undocumented Mexican immigrants that are here who've been waiting for a path to come out of the shadows. He's not concerned about the dreamers who have higher standards than even asylum seekers for how they have to behave in communities. He openly welcomes the city of Chicago to the asylum seekers that have come here over the last 4 years, spending $600 million to meet their every whim and need while neglecting his own African-American communities on the South and West side.
Ooh. How come it always takes somebody outside of the establishment for you to start to see things a little bit differently? He really broke it down. He said, listen, they've spent an egregious amount of money on people that's not even supposed to be here, on asylum seekers. They didn't spend money. Look, don't come to us now saying how we need to change things and how we need to reset the system to more or less reflect how we're supposed to move and expediting the process of people getting green cards and or citizenship inside of the United States of America. Please don't come to me with that nonsense. You know why? Because you didn't spend money on that. You spent money on protecting people that you knew wasn't supposed to be here and supporting criminals that then are released back onto the streets, and then the people suffer as a result of it. Chicago spent so much time debating and pushing through a budget that at some point increased taxes, even if it wasn't property taxes, it increased taxes on the general population. They spent more energy on that than they did on supporting the people that were already there, including pushing through the process. We need to update the system. Okay, cool. We'll work on the system and dedicate yourself to the system, but we do not support criminal organizations, and it's not going to be tolerated. It cannot be tolerated. It is a cancer on our community. And I am amazed that throughout all the pushback, and even with Eric Adams snitching on the Biden administration and saying that they told him, which I'm almost certain that they told Brandon Johnson the same thing. Be a good Democrat, Eric. It's like a gallstone. It's going to pass. I'm almost positive that they told Brandon Johnson and Mike Johnston and Karen Bass the same things. Even though Karen Bass was getting cussed out by Trump over the weekend, I'm positive that they told them the same thing. Be a good Democrat. They're not even in office no more. You don't even have to stand on business. All you got to do is support what we ain't even going to say what the American people want. What's right? What's right? Do we not know the difference between what's right and wrong, ladies and gentlemen? I'm just wondering. Do we not know the difference between right and wrong? Do we not know that you're not supposed to just walk over into somebody else's house, let alone somebody else's country, and stand on their couch and open up their refrigerator and eat their food? Do we not know this? Did we not get taught that when we were children from our mothers and our grandparents and our fathers that, hey, when you go into somebody else's house, first you knock. You don't just open up the door. You don't just open up the door. My daughter don't just walk. She be, Dad, I'm on my way home. Hey, can you unlock the door for me, or can you open up the garage? I'm gonna need some help. My daughter called before she get home. You just walked over here with size 12 shoes, and we was just supposed to be like, you know what? Welcome. We love you. We don't know where you from. We don't know where you came from. We vet the women that we date better than we vetted the migrants that came over here. You want to know somebody's my chart before you eat after them at the restaurant nowadays. Hey, where your my chart at? I need to know if you got HPV1, HPV2. Why you still calling it STDs when we renamed it to STIs? You know what? I don't think that you need to be in part of my life, and I'm going to block you. Block. But we sitting there defending people that we don't know, that came from places that we're not even familiar with. You ain't never even visited them. You don't know nothing about their homes. You don't know nothing about where they came from. They made you up a story. Y'all criticize me, and y'all want to see my bank accounts, and y'all sitting there capping and caping for these people that you don't even know them. You don't even know them. You don't know nothing about her. You don't know nothing about him. You don't know nothing about what they was doing in their home country.
A surprising guest with border czar Tom Homan today, Dr. Phil. The reality star took to X to say that he was embedded with the border czar for ICE operations here in Chicago. We have also reached out about embedding with ICE and are hoping that they will get back to us. Anna?
What up, Quinn?
We want to see how everything's going down, too. How are immigrant rights groups reacting to all this, Mills?
Well, you can imagine they're not happy right now, and they say that many undocumented migrants are avoiding going to work because they don't want to get rounded up by ICE. And on Saturday, several immigrant rights groups sued ICE seeking an injunction prohibiting certain types of immigration raids in Chicago. Vice President J.D. Vance was on CBS News this morning defending the Trump administration's decision to allow ICE agents in churches, hospitals, and schools.
Chicago, y'all in the way. You know what? I like it when these cities are in the way, to be honest with you. I genuinely do. I like it when cities are in the way. And the reason that I like it when cities are in the way is because you need to make an example of them. You got to make an example of them. It's important to make an example of the bad apple. That's why occasionally I look through the chat and I see who's authentically being dusty. And I say, you know what? His daddy didn't like him. Let me go ahead and give him and read him the riot act. His daddy didn't like him. Let me go ahead and read you the riot act. Occasionally, I got to make an example of somebody. And sometimes they become collateral damage, but you have to make an example. You got to set an example so that people don't continue to do bad things, because one bad apple ruins the whole bunch. Brandon Johnson, we own you.